Justice exists, and I found it.
You know it's going to be a special day when your wife starts drinking wine at 10 in the morning because the baby needs to see mommy having fun. Nothing says happy family like boxed Merlot before the birthday cake gets cut. I'm Tom Grady, 41 years old, IT project manager, and apparently the world's most clueless husband. Today is my daughter Zoe's first birthday, and our house on Briarwood Lane is packed with relatives, neighbors, and Elise's work friends who barely tolerate my existence. Tom, can you grab more ice from the garage? Elise calls out, her voice already slurred. She's wearing that red dress that used to make my heart race. Now, it just reminds me of warning signs I should have noticed. The party is in full swing. My mother Evelyn sits in the corner with Elise's mother Judith, both women bonding over their shared disappointment in me. Kelly, Elise's best friend, keeps whispering in Elise's ear and throwing me dirty looks. Brandon Holt, Elise's business consultant, lounges by the pool like he owns the place, his muscles straining against his polo shirt. Daddy! Zoe toddles over, cake frosting smeared across her chubby cheeks. She's the only good thing to come out of this marriage. At least I thought she was mine. Hey, princess. I scoop her up, and she giggles. Having fun at your party? More cake? I think you've had enough sugar for one day. I kiss her forehead, breathing in that sweet baby smell. In a few hours, everything I thought I knew about my life would be destroyed. The afternoon drags on. Brandon keeps flexing and telling stories about his personal training business. Nate, my only real friend, nurses a beer and makes sarcastic comments under his breath. Guy's got more muscles than brain cells, he mutters. Play nice, I whisper back, but I'm thinking the same thing. By 4 o'clock, Elise and Kelly are properly drunk. They're giggling by the kitchen island, voices getting louder with each glass of wine. I'm cleaning up wrapping paper when I hear Kelly ask, "So when are you going to tell Tom the truth about Zoe?" My hands freeze on a discarded bow. The party noise fades into background static. Elise's laugh is sharp, bitter. Why would I do that? He's a perfectly good co-parent. Besides, nobody knows Zoe's really Dave's baby, not Tom's. I used the seed Dave stored before he died. Now there was a real man. The bow crumples in my fist. Dave. Her ex-husband who died in a motorcycle accident 3 years ago. The love of her life who I could never measure up to, according to every argument we'd ever had. Tom has no idea? Kelly's voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper that still carries across the kitchen. None. The fertility clinic was very discreet. Tom thinks we tried for months naturally before going to the clinic. He never questioned why Zoe looks nothing like him. Men are so stupid about these things. My legs feel like water. I grip the counter, trying to process what I just heard. Zoe isn't mine. My daughter, the center of my world, shares no DNA with me. I'm just the guy who pays the bills and changes diapers. That's cold even for you, Kelly says, but she's laughing. Dave would have wanted his daughter to have a good life. Tom provides that. He's stable, boring, safe, everything Dave wasn't. Elise takes another sip of wine. Sometimes I look at Zoe and see Dave's eyes, his smile. It's like having a piece of him back. I back away from the kitchen, my vision blurring. The party continues around me, oblivious. Brandon's telling another story about his gym. My mother's criticizing my landscaping choices. Zoe's playing with her new toys, innocent of the bomb that just exploded my world. That night, after the last guest leaves and Elise passes out on the couch, I pack a single bag. I take my laptop, some clothes, and Zoe's favorite stuffed elephant. On my way out, I stop by the filing cabinet and pull out Zoe's birth certificate. With a black marker, I cross out my name in the father section. I leave it on Elise's pillow with a note. Since I'm just the co-parent, you won't be needing my signature anymore. My phone starts buzzing before I reach my car. 53 missed calls and twice as many texts by the time I check into a motel across town. I read every single message, each one more desperate than the last. Tom, where are you? This is ridiculous. Come home. We need to talk. Don't be such a baby about this. You're overreacting. Tom, please, think about Zoe. The last text comes at 3 a.m. I know you heard what I said. It doesn't change anything. You're still her father in every way that matters. I turn off my phone and stare at the motel ceiling. Tomorrow, I'll start figuring out how to destroy the woman who destroyed me. The law office of Karp, Stevens & Associates smells like leather and broken dreams. Mr. Karp, a thin man with wire-rimmed glasses, reviews my case with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. Paternity fraud is difficult to prove in this state, he says, adjusting his glasses. Even if you can establish that your wife deliberately deceived you, you may still be considered the legal father since you signed the birth certificate. She used her dead ex-husband's stored genetic material without telling me. How is that not fraud? The question is whether you can prove intent to deceive and whether you suffered damages as a result. He slides a paper across the desk. We'll need DNA tests, medical records from the fertility clinic, and any documentation of your wife's admissions. I hand him my phone with the voice recording I made the next day. Elise, hungover and defensive, repeating her confession when I confronted her. Fine, yes, Zoe is Dave's biological daughter, but you're her real father, Tom. Biology doesn't matter. This is good, Karp says after listening. But prepare yourself for a long fight. Your wife will likely claim you're an unfit father, that you abandoned your family. Do you have any history of domestic violence, substance misuse, mental health issues? Nothing. I'm the most boring man in America. Good. Boring wins custody cases. I leave the lawyer's office with a retainer agreement and a sick feeling in my stomach. My phone has 47 new messages from Elise, each one more manipulative than the last. She's moved through the stages of grief at record speed. Denial, anger, bargaining, and now emotional blackmail. Zoe keeps asking for daddy. How can you do this to her? Your mother called. She thinks you're having a breakdown. Brandon says you're just jealous because I have friends who care about me. Brandon. Of course he's involved. I drive to his gym, a chrome and glass monument to narcissism called Holt Fitness. Through the windows, I see him spotting a blonde woman on the bench press, his hands lingering longer than necessary on her shoulders. My phone rings. It's my mother. Tom, what is this nonsense about leaving Elise? She's beside herself with worry. Did she tell you what she did, Mom? She told me you're having some kind of midlife crisis. This is about that baby issue, isn't it? So what if she used a donor? Zoe is still your daughter. She lied to me for 2 years, Mom. She used her dead husband's seed and let me think Zoe was mine. Biology isn't everything, Tom. That little girl needs her father. You're being selfish. The line goes dead. Even my own mother is taking Elise's side. I shouldn't be surprised. Evelyn Grady has never thought I was good enough for anyone, including her. That evening, I'm eating Chinese takeout in my depressing motel room when someone pounds on the door. Through the peephole, I see Nate holding a 6-pack of beer. You look like heck, he says, pushing past me into the room. Feel worse. I accept a beer and collapse into the room's single chair. My wife, my mother. Probably half the neighborhood thinks I'm the bad guy here. Because they don't know the whole truth. Elise is spinning this as you abandoning your family over fertility issues. She's not mentioning the part where she committed fraud. Nate's right. Elise has always been good at controlling the narrative. She works in public relations, after all. Managing her image is literally her job. There's something else, Nate says, his voice careful. I didn't want to tell you, but you need to know. My wife saw your mom and Elise having lunch at the country club last week. They were with Brandon. What? Sarah said they looked pretty cozy, like they'd done it before. The beer turns sour in my mouth. My mother barely tolerates Elise. Maybe that was an act. Think about it, Tom. Your mom's been pushing you to forgive Elise since day one. She's taking Elise's side awfully fast for someone who supposedly just learned about this. I think about all those business trips I took last year. Elise's sudden interest in yoga retreats with my mother. The way Brandon always seemed to know details about my schedule, my work, my plans. How long do you think this has been going on? Does it matter? The question is what you're going to do about it. The next morning, I'm walking out of a coffee shop when a black SUV comes screaming around the corner. I have maybe 2 seconds to realize it's Elise behind the wheel before I dive between 2 parked cars. The SUV clips my leg, sending me rolling across the asphalt. Pain shoots through my knee as I hit the ground. The SUV keeps going, but not before I see Elise's face in the driver's seat, twisted with rage and something else. Satisfaction. Someone call emergency! A woman shouts. That maniac just tried to end this man! At the hospital, Detective Lyle takes my statement while a nurse cleans gravel out of my palms. He's a tired-looking man with skeptical eyes who's probably seen too many domestic disputes. You're sure it was your wife driving? Positive. She was driving our SUV, license plate BW 4472. Any witnesses? The whole coffee shop saw it happen. There are security cameras, too. We'll check those out. This related to your divorce? Paternity fraud case. She's not taking it well. Detective Lyle makes a note. Never does. We'll pick her up for questioning. They arrest Elise that afternoon. The security footage is clear. She accelerated when she saw me, swerved to hit me, and kept driving. Attempted vehicular homicide, the prosecutor calls it. Not just domestic violence anymore. I'm discharged with a bandaged knee and a bottle of painkillers when my lawyer calls. I have some interesting news, Karp says. Your wife's been busy since you left. She's filed counterclaims alleging you were physically aggressive with her and Zoe. Says you have anger management issues and a drinking problem. That's complete BS. I know, but she's also claiming you threatened to end her and Brandon if she didn't take you back. She has witnesses. What witnesses? Your mother, for one, Kelly Morrison, Brandon Holt himself. I sit down hard on the hospital bench. They're all lying. Of course they are, but lies backed by multiple witnesses can be dangerous. We need to get ahead of this. Through the hospital window, I watch Elise being led out in handcuffs. She looks small and vulnerable, playing the victim even now. A few reporters have gathered, drawn by the drama of a suburban mother arrested for trying to run down her husband. She looks right at me through the window and smiles. That's when I know this is war. Elise makes bail in 6 hours. Her mother, Judith, posts the $50,000 like she's buying groceries. And by evening, Elise is back home playing the wronged wife for anyone who'll listen. The local news picks up the story. Suburban mother arrested after domestic dispute turns violent. They use Elise's professional headshot and a grainy photo of me from my company website. Guess which one makes me look like an unhinged lunatic? The husband had been acting erratically, Kelly tells the reporter, standing in front of our house with practiced concern. Elise was afraid for her safety and her daughter's safety. She was trying to get away when the accident happened. Accident. Right. My suspension from work comes the next morning. Just until this legal situation resolves, my boss says over the phone. You understand, Tom, we can't have employees in the news for domestic violence. I'm the victim here. The optics are bad. Take some time, get your personal life sorted out, and we'll talk. By noon, 3 neighbors have crossed the street to avoid me. Mrs. Culpepper, who used to bring me tomatoes from her garden, won't make eye contact. The mailman leaves my mail on the sidewalk instead of the mailbox. Elise is good at this. Really good. I'm researching defamation lawyers when Nate calls. You need to see Channel 7 tonight. Elise is doing an interview. She's sitting in our living room, Zoe on her lap, looking like a Madonna and child painting. The interviewer, a sympathetic woman with perfect hair, lobs softball questions about surviving domestic misuse. Tom was always controlling, Elise says, her voice barely above a whisper. He monitored my phone, questioned my friendships, got angry when I worked late. When I told him about Zoe's paternity, he exploded. Said he'd end me before he'd let another man's child inherit his money. You must have been terrified. I was. That's why I was trying to get away when the accident happened. I saw him on the street and panicked. I just wanted to get past him, but he stepped in front of my car. Zoe babbles something, and Elise smiles sadly. She keeps asking for Daddy. I don't know how to explain that Daddy is sick right now, that he needs help. The segment ends with information about domestic violence resources and Elise's GoFundMe page for legal and medical expenses. It's already raised $12,000. I throw the remote at the TV. The next morning, I drive to Brandon's gym. It's time to go on offense. Holt Fitness is busy with the morning crowd, all spandex and self-improvement. Brandon's in his office, feet up on his desk, talking on the phone about protein supplements and maximizing gains. He looks up when I walk in, his face shifting to fake concern. Tom, man, I heard about the accident. How are you holding up? Cut the crap, Brandon. I know you're sleeping with my wife. He laughs, but his eyes are nervous. Dude, that's crazy talk. Elise and I are just friends. I'm helping her through a difficult time. Is that what you call it? Helping her commit paternity fraud? Helping her lie to the police? You need to leave, Tom. You're not welcome here. I pull out my phone and show him the photos Nate's wife took at the country club. Brandon and Elise holding hands across a table, his hand on her thigh, her head on his shoulder. Sarah's got more where these came from. How do you think your clients will react when they find out their trainer is a homewrecker who helps women defraud their husbands? Brandon's face goes red. You can't prove anything. Watch me. I leave him sputtering and drive to Elise's office. She works for Morrison and Associates, a mid-sized PR firm downtown. The lobby is all modern art and inspirational quotes about authentic messaging. The receptionist, a young woman with purple hair, looks uncomfortable when I ask for Elise. She's in a meeting right now. I'll wait. Sir, I'm not sure I'm her husband. I think I can wait for my wife. 20 minutes later, Elise emerges from a conference room with her boss, Miss Fenn, and 2 clients. She freezes when she sees me. Tom? What are you doing here? We need to talk. This isn't the time or place. Really? Because you made our marriage very public yesterday. Figured you wouldn't mind discussing it at work? Miss Fenn, a sharp-faced woman in her 50s, steps forward. Mr. Grady, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This is a workplace, not a place for personal disputes. You're right. This is a workplace, where professionals should act professionally. Tell me, Miss Fenn, do you know about Elise's relationship with Brandon Holt? I don't see how that's relevant. I pull out my phone and play the recording of Elise's confession about Zoe's paternity. Her voice fills the lobby, admitting to fraud, calling me stupid, laughing about her deception. The clients exchange glances. The receptionist's mouth falls open. Miss Fenn's face goes white. This is the woman representing your company's integrity, I say loudly enough for everyone to hear. A woman who commits paternity fraud, lies to police, and tries to run down her husband with an SUV. Very authentic messaging. Tom, stop, Elise hisses. Why? You didn't stop when you were telling reporters I'm a dangerous man. You didn't stop when you were raising money off lies about me. I turn to the clients, 2 middle-aged men in expensive suits. Gentlemen, I'd be very careful about trusting this woman with your company's reputation. She's been lying professionally for years. Security arrives as I'm leaving, but the damage is done. By evening, someone's uploaded the lobby confrontation to social media. #paternity fraud starts trending locally. The comments are brutal. This woman is evil. Feel sorry for the husband. Why isn't she in jail? That poor man. For the first time in days, public opinion starts shifting my way. Elise calls that night, screaming, "You had no right to embarrass me at work, like you had no right to lie about me on TV. I'm fighting for my daughter's future." She's not your daughter, remember? She's Dave's. You made that very clear. The line goes quiet for a long moment. When Elise speaks again, her voice is cold. You're going to regret this, Tom. I promise you that. She hangs up, but I'm not worried. What else can she do to me? I'm about to find out. My mother dies on a Tuesday. The call comes from Patty, my sister, who's been trying to play peacemaker in this whole mess. Tom, you need to get to the hospital. Mom had a stroke. Evelyn Grady passes away 3 hours later without regaining consciousness. I'm holding her hand when she goes, wondering if she would have wanted me there or if she'd have preferred Elise, her chosen daughter-in-law. The funeral is a nightmare of family politics and whispered conversations. Half the attendees treat me like a pariah, the other half like a curiosity. Elise shows up in black designer clothes playing the grieving pseudo-daughter-in-law. She brings Zoe, who runs to me, crying, "Daddy," before Elise pulls her away. She shouldn't be confused right now, Elise says loudly enough for everyone to hear, with everything that's happened. Brandon lurks near the back, uncomfortable in an ill-fitting suit. Kelly works the crowd like a campaign manager, reinforcing Elise's victim narrative to anyone who'll listen. During the service, I sit alone in the front row while Elise holds court 3 rows back, accepting condolences like she's the real family. The pastor, who barely knew my mother, gives a generic sermon about forgiveness and family bonds. Evelyn believed in the power of love to overcome any obstacle, he drones. She would want her family to come together in this time of grief. I almost laugh. My mother spent the last month of her life telling anyone who'd listen that I was a selfish bastard who abandoned his wife and child. Coming together was the last thing she wanted. After the burial, there's a reception at the church. I'm standing alone by the coffee table when my cousin Mark approaches. He's a big man, a construction foreman who's never liked me much. Heard you've been causing trouble for Elise, he says. Heard you've been listening to gossip. She's a good woman, Tom. Your mom thought so too. My mom didn't know the whole story. Maybe because you never told it right. Mark steps closer, using his size to intimidate. Maybe you should think about making this right, for Zoe's sake. Get away from me, Mark. Or what? You'll run me down with your car? The conversation stops around us. People turn to stare. I realize this is exactly what Elise wanted, a public confrontation that makes me look unstable. I never ran anyone down. Your friend Elise tried to run me down. That's not what I heard. Then you heard wrong. Mark's face reddens. You calling me a liar? I'm calling you misinformed. He shoves me hard. I stumble backward into the coffee table, sending cups and plates crashing to the floor. The room goes silent except for Zoe's crying. "Mark, please," Patty says, rushing over. "This is Mom's funeral. Tell that to your brother. He's the one who can't let sleeping dogs lie." I get to my feet, coffee staining my shirt. Around the room, faces stare at me with a mixture of disgust and pity. Mission accomplished, Elise. You've turned my own family against me. "I'm leaving," I announce to no one in particular. In the parking lot, Nate catches up with me. "That was a setup, you know. Elise probably told Mark exactly what to say to set you off." I know. I lean against my car, suddenly exhausted. She's better at this than I am. Maybe, but she's getting desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. "What do you mean?" "I've been asking around. Turns out Brandon's been bragging about his rich girlfriend at the gym. Says she's going to help him expand his business once her divorce comes through." "Elise doesn't have that kind of money." "Exactly, so where's it coming from?" The answer comes 3 days later. Natalie Holt, Brandon's bitter ex-wife, calls me out of the blue. "I heard you're having problems with my ex-husband," she says without preamble. "You could say that." "Good. That makes us allies. Can we meet?" We meet at a coffee shop across town. Natalie is a thin, angry woman with short blonde hair and tired eyes. She slides a manila folder across the table. "Brandon's been stealing from his business partners," she says. "Skimming membership fees, inflating equipment costs, the works. I've been documenting it since our divorce, waiting for the right moment to use it." I flip through the folder. Bank statements, receipts, emails, all showing a pattern of financial fraud going back 2 years. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because that witch he's sleeping with is helping him. Your wife's been moving money through her company's accounts, washing Brandon's stolen cash. They think they're smart, but I used to be an accountant." The pieces click into place. Elise's sudden interest in investment opportunities, her new clothes, expensive dinners, the upgraded car. She's been helping Brandon launder money and taking a cut. This is embezzlement. Among other things, the IRS would be very interested in these transactions. "What do you want in return?" Natalie's smile is sharp as a knife. "I want to watch them burn." That evening, I call Detective Lyle. "I have information about financial crimes involving my wife and Brandon Holt." "What kind of crimes?" "Embezzlement, money laundering, fraud. I have documentation. Bring it in tomorrow. We'll take a look." I'm finally fighting back with real tools. But Elise isn't done either. The custody petition arrives the next morning. Elise is suing for full custody of Zoe, claiming I'm an unfit parent who poses a danger to the child. The supporting documents paint me as an unstable, violent man who abandoned his family and threatened his wife. Attached is a restraining order. I'm not allowed within 500 feet of Elise, Zoe, or our house. My lawyer calls an hour later. "This is bad, Tom. She's got 3 witnesses claiming you threatened to end her and Brandon. Your mother gave a statement before she died, saying you had anger issues and a drinking problem." My mother's dead. She can't testify. Her written statement can be entered as evidence. And there's more. Kelly Morrison claims you've been stalking Elise, following her to work, harassing her friends. That's all lies. Proving that will be difficult. Right now, you look like an obsessed ex-husband who's escalating toward violence. I hang up and stare at the restraining order. Elise has outmaneuvered me again. I can't see my daughter, can't go home, can't even defend myself without looking like I'm violating the order. But she made one mistake. She underestimated how much I'm willing to lose to destroy her. The plan comes together over the next 2 weeks. While Elise thinks she's won, I'm building a case that will destroy everything she's worked for. First, I take Natalie's evidence to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Agent Sarah Chen, a serious woman with sharp eyes, reviews the documents with growing interest. "This shows a clear pattern of money laundering," she says. "Your wife's PR firm has been processing payments for services never rendered, then transferring the money to offshore accounts Brandon Holt controls." How much are we talking about? Over $200,000 in the past year. That's federal prison time. "When will you arrest them?" "Soon. We need to coordinate with local authorities on the assault charges. Your wife's going to face multiple felonies. While the FBI builds their case, I work on destroying Elise's public image. I contact Dirty Dale, a local blogger who specializes in suburban scandals. For $5,000, he agrees to publish a detailed expose about Elise's lies. Suburban soccer mom's web of lies, paternity fraud, embezzlement, and attempted homicide goes viral within hours. The comment section explodes with outrage. This woman is a psychopath. How is she not in prison? That poor husband and daughter. Lock her up. The story gets picked up by larger outlets. Suddenly, Elise is the poster child for everything wrong with modern marriage. Her GoFundMe page gets shut down for fraud. Her employer puts her on administrative leave, but I'm not done. Brandon's gym is hosting its annual Fitness Expo, a weekend event with vendors, demonstrations, and local media coverage. It's his biggest marketing opportunity of the year, and I'm going to ruin it. I arrive early Saturday morning with a van full of equipment, speakers, a projector, and a laptop loaded with everything I need. The expo is in the gym's main floor, crowded with booths and eager fitness enthusiasts. Brandon's giving a presentation on achieving your best self to a crowd of admirers. He's in his element, flexing and posing while talking about dedication and integrity. Success isn't just about physical strength, he says, his voice booming through the microphone. It's about mental toughness, emotional honesty, and moral character. That's my cue. I connect my laptop to the gym's sound system and project my first surprise onto the wall behind Brandon. Bank statements showing his embezzlement. The crowd murmurs in confusion. Speaking of moral character, I say, my voice echoing through the speakers. Let's talk about Brandon Holt's real achievements. Brandon spins around, his face going white. What the heck? The next slide shows photos of Brandon with Elise, intimate shots that Natalie provided from his phone. The crowd gasps. This is Brandon helping a married woman commit paternity fraud, I announce. And here's him helping her launder stolen money. Security rushes toward me, but I'm already moving to the next part of my presentation. Video clips of Elise's TV interviews play alongside recordings of her real voice admitting to fraud. The woman claiming to be a victim of domestic misuse is actually a criminal who tried to run down her husband with an SUV, I continue. And your fitness guru here is her accomplice. Brandon tries to grab the microphone, but the crowd is turning ugly. People are shouting questions, demanding answers. Someone starts recording with their phone. This is all lies, Brandon shouts. This man is obsessed with my girlfriend. Girlfriend? I laugh. You mean the married woman who's been stealing from her company to fund your lifestyle? The one who's going to be arrested by the FBI next week? That gets everyone's attention. Local news cameras there to cover the fitness expo swivel toward me. This is better than they could have hoped for. Security finally reaches me, but the damage is done. The story is already spreading online. Fitness guru exposed as embezzler and homewrecker. Brandon's reputation is destroyed, his business ruined. But I saved the best for last. Monday morning, I'm waiting outside the courthouse when Elise arrives for her custody hearing. She's dressed conservatively, playing the responsible mother, but her face is haggard. The weekend's revelations have taken their toll. Tom, she says, trying to sound calm, we need to talk. No, we don't. We need to go inside so a judge can hear the truth. You don't understand. If you keep pushing this, everyone gets hurt. Zoe gets hurt. Zoe's been hurt enough by your lies. Inside the courtroom, Elise's lawyer tries to maintain the fiction that she's the victim. But the evidence is overwhelming. The FBI's financial investigation, the voice recordings, the witness statements from the gym expo, it all paints a picture of a woman who's been lying about everything. Judge Martinez, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, reviews the evidence with obvious disgust. Miss Grady, you've been charged with paternity fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, and attempted vehicular homicide. Your credibility in this custody matter is essentially zero. Elise's lawyer tries to object, but the judge cuts him off. Furthermore, your attempts to alienate the child from her father through false accusations are deeply troubling. This court finds that you are an unfit parent. Your Honor, Elise says, standing up. You don't understand. Tom isn't even Zoe's biological father. Why should he? Sit down, Miss Grady. Biology isn't the only factor in determining parenthood. Mr. Grady has been this child's father in every meaningful way for 2 years. You don't get to erase that because your fraud has been exposed. The judge awards me full custody of Zoe, with Elise getting supervised visitation only. The restraining order is dismissed. The criminal charges will proceed. As we leave the courthouse, reporters surround us. Elise tries to hide her face, but there's nowhere to run. This is the price of making our private business public. Mr. Grady, how does it feel to get your daughter back? A reporter asks. I look at Elise, broken and humiliated, finally facing consequences for her actions. Brandon lurks nearby, his gym closed, his reputation destroyed, facing federal charges. It feels like justice, I say. That evening, I pick up Zoe from her grandmother's house. She runs to me like nothing's changed, like the past month of heck never happened. Daddy, I missed you. I missed you too, princess. As I buckle her into her car seat, she looks up at me with those bright eyes. Dave's eyes, I now know, but it doesn't matter. She's mine in every way that counts. Are we going home, Daddy? Yes, sweetheart, we're going home. Elise gets 5 years in federal prison. Brandon gets 3. Kelly loses her job for lying to investigators. My mother's estate goes to me, since she died before changing her will. 6 months later, Zoe and I are living in a new house across town, far from the memories of Briarwood Lane. She's thriving in daycare, making friends, laughing again. Sometimes she asks about Mommy, and I tell her Mommy made some bad choices and has to go away for a while. The divorce is finalized on a Tuesday. I keep my married name for Zoe's sake, but everything else changes. New house, new job, new life built on truth instead of lies. And sometimes, late at night when Zoe's asleep, I think about Elise sitting in her prison cell, finally understanding that actions have consequences, that you can't build a life on lies and expect it to last. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I prefer mine flaming with a side of public humiliation and federal prison time.